Hey guys, welcome to this piece of shit. I'm Megazard, and before we get it rolling, before I introduce Ajad, well, I just introduced him. I gotta make a quick statement. Um, People are genuinely intimidated and concerned by the fact that I like to talk about things and have opinions on Discord. Um, so I'm gonna stop doing that. All of my negative critiques I'm going to confine exclusively to Untier talk. I'm just going to try to not. That sounded like a gunshot. I don't know. I'm just going to try to not have. Yeah, I'm just going to try to not have negative takes on Discord, period. This isn't really something I can apologize for because if I ask people to actually point out where I've like bullied someone or in any way like gone over to like attacking people, no one is coming forward with anything like that. But people are coming forward with the fact that like simply due to me critiquing people as the tier leader, because obviously Hajad, Teddy, whoever else has like critiques of people's teams and sets and whatever. But like because it's me as the tier leader, people get concerned about that. I don't think I've said anything that would be considered like offensive, but I've said things that people take to heart, and because I'm the tier leader, people are concerned with me having opinions. So yeah, I'm not going to do that on Discord. Hopefully I'll get to go back to doing that at some point. I hope everyone knows that when I say I think Katut's team isn't very good or whatever, that it doesn't come from God, I fucking hate that guy. I don't like have any special dislike for Tlinit or Ziri or HT whatsoever. It just comes from, hey, this is what we do, we critique things. And that's not really out of the ordinary. I don't know. It's not a problem that I can necessarily wrap my head around that well. Maybe you're not satisfied with the explanation, but nevertheless, it's a problem that people are genuinely feeling like attacked by critique that does not attack them, but critiques what they used and plays made. So I'm just not gonna do that. Yeah, I think that's something that I didn't want to just stop without saying something. I wanted to make a note of that. I'm sorry I had to hijack that for some really serious talk. Overall, just too much very serious and very stupid things are happening in PU at the moment. I'm extremely tired, but we've got games to cover. Hajad, hit it.
Hi, I'm Hajad. I like Assault Vest.
Was this an AA meeting?
Let's talk about Pokemon.
Is this an AA meeting? Hi, I'm Hajad. I like assault vests.
Yeah, dude, this is my personal statement when I got into university. It's like, hi, I'm Hajad. I like the Assault Vest item in Pokemon. Please admit me to your university.
I can already feel the wind up, the pent up frustration just melting away. Okay, we start as we normally do with the first game that happened, which in this case was like midnight Saturday, but whatever.
Sunday fun day.
Or yeah, midnight Sunday. Kushalos versus Ziri. This game got this is just a funny game. So Ziri has a team, and I said this on Discord, and this is one of the things that like people get upset when I say that. So, but I think Ziri's team would be okay if Toxic Spikes were good. But Toxic Spikes are bad, and this team is built around T-Spikes, and without T-Spikes working well, I don't think this team functions. So, yeah, that's how I feel about this.
Yeah, I just want to give my quick opinion on the team as well, because to me, like to my eye, it looks to me like a weird fusion of like Tlenit Stall and like Tlenit Combuskin team. You remember that Telenet Combustion team
Yeah,
that he made a
yeah.
while ago?
It's just it's
It's
just
just like a
slapped together.
yeah, the two teams like slap together, and I feel like it almost functions like a stall that plays around hazards and then has combustion as the late game win con thing, which I don't necessarily hate. That sounds like a good plan, but I just don't think the execution is there in terms of like how you regain momentum. Like if somebody gains momentum on that team, you're not getting it back for a while, so you have to be careful.
Yeah, I mean
Like how you just
it has the type null has U-turn, I believe, which isn't the worst, which isn't the worst plan, but the combination of like the muds, the sableye, the claydol, even U-turn type null cells to rest up, it's going to be a problem, and it's not like this team covers a ton of the meta perfectly. Like, let's be real, when you rely on type null to be this kind of blanket check, type null sableye muds, like you have a lot of blanket checks. But the way PU functions right now, this team is still going to take a lot of flack from. I think the biggest things are Jellicent is super awkward, given that the type null is not toxic. I'm pretty sure if it is, even if it is, Jellicent probably taunts that. Lurantis is like, I got to pivot on that and try to use Combustion. Victory Bell. Yeah, Victory Bell is literally going to click buttons and force in Type Null, the most abusable Pokemon that dies to a Z move pretty early. SD Victory Bell, less of a problem. Special Victory Bell, yikes. It's just too easy to name things that I think are big threats that the team doesn't adequately handle. Specs Auroras, that's a great one. And, it needs T-Spikes to pressure most of those. Victory Bell, it's a different story. And, if T-Spikes were good, fine, but they're not. The one thing it really does have going for it is I think, it's specifically got to lure Quillfish to take out, a good chunk of those threats. So if they get caught by that, then you're fine. But at the same time, they would also, Victory Bell's going to scout for Destiny Bond, so it's probably not going to die to Quillfish. Or, Lurantis, you're not going to let it get Destiny Bonded, so it becomes really tough to play it like that. And then, obviously, if the Quillfish has to explode or whatever. No, Z Poison Jab? Yeah, it was just Z Poison Jab. So you can still keep it around, but I don't know. I think the execution is not there. I hope that's a reasonable explanation, because I've also found that, the simple fact of being critical of a team means that people, will automatically turn people off, regardless of the thoughts behind it. I like some of the ideas. I think the Quillfish set in particular is genuinely good, and I've been using a lot of offensive Quillfish recently because I think that really works. I think Chicken T-Spikes is not bad in theory. It's just that T-Spikes don't work, and that just makes this fall apart.
Yeah. I think if I remember correctly, on Tlenet's stall, he has an Assault Vest Claydol as well, if I'm not mistaken. Which kind of confuses me, because then what's the point in Mudsdale existing? Because you can just go for a Regirock that's even be infinitely better.
Yeah, I don't remember this Claydol being Assault Vest. I don't know. Here, Claydol comes out, we don't see anything. I'll go back to the replay, guys. I just want to see if it was Assault Vest. Do we even... Yeah, no, Claydol never comes out. Claydol comes out, but he never hits a button, so we don't see that. That would be that would be especially weird, because when you stack Claydol plus Mudsdale, you're automatically being we're gonna have some issues with the Vic Lurantis and that kind of stuff. Even Floatzel, to be honest, your Quillfish is not Helmet, and Type Null is just such a chippable Pokemon. Oh my god, even Floatzel is gonna be pretty annoying given the combustion checking properties.
Yeah, Type Null is one of those Pokemon at the moment where it's I'm going to use Type Null, but if I have a Pokemon that lets me set up or do something scary like Simisear or something, Type Null suddenly becomes from a decent catch everything check to a liability, just instant.
Yeah, it's weird. You don't have a lot of room to outplay threats. You need to be really perfect with it, and with this team in general. And holy shit, we've spent so long on this, but now with what I talked about before we start Untier Talk proper, I really do feel the need to just strongly defend any position, because there are people who genuinely think I'm just super biased and mean, and my opinions don't come from a place of truth. Kushalos's team is... also just kind of awkward.
Yeah, because this team is just not strong. That'll be the key. That'll be the big thing that I would take away.
Yeah,
Like
it's
having
very spikes.
spices
It's
to like
very spikes reliant to actually get to do damage here, which is a little bit awkward. Not the worst, just because spikes are just that much better than T spikes. But yeah, and then there's the Silvally. Oh, this Silvally. I don't I don't like it. I think it's bad, and I think so
yeah,
much of the team hinges on this rest talk Silvally dragon. What was it? Was it flamethrower U-turn? Was it flamethrower Draco? I don't actually. I should remember this.
I think it did reveal the Draco or the toxic. I don't know what it has in that
I
last one,
don't.
but
I do not remember. I don't think it works, and so much of the team hinges on like it is the Electros resist. That's also a problem. Electros can pivot on this team so easily, and if it just keeps volting on your complete setup fodder Silvally Dragon, like that's not good. That's
yeah,
pretty bad.
yeah,
Like I just don't think his team really works, and it has issues outlasting a lot of threats. Like a lot of Pokemon can kind of click buttons, and even if they're not the most immediate threats, unless you break them with spikes really fast, they're kind of going to end up winning. I think Pom Pom is not a bad example of that. I think Stoutland is not a bad example of that. Like, I don't
yeah.
think his team comes together. And a
Yeah,
lot
I
of that
feel
is
like
because Silvally Dragon is just so like who's going to be scared of just going to the Lurantis or whatever on defensive Silvally Dragon just boosting up. Ugh.
I think the big thing with the entire team is that it mostly functions like an offense team, but it doesn't have any of the like scary elements that come with offense.
It's
Like
offense, but what if we didn't run a breaker?
yeah, offense without the offense part.
Okay, but if this
So
team was rocks on the it's Scarfalolo Slash, I think. If it was rocks on that and banded Mudsdale, I would like it a lot more. It would still be pretty weak to a number of things, but like I think that would work so much better. Just saying. Like he needs something to actually hit things.
yeah,
Anyway,
I'm just not a fan of the Sylvalis. Like
no,
much rather than
it's
the
really
Sylvalis just
it's
be.
really stupid, and
But if it was just
it's so close
SD
to
multi
karma.
attack, yeah. Like if it was just SD multi attack, the team would function better. Like
That's true. Although he would have really had some combustion issues. Anyway, let's.
if it, well, yeah,
There's not a lot to go over in terms of plays, so I think we can probably get through this pretty quickly. Very early on, you got So turn one, he reveals the Poisonium Quillfish, and like I said, I actually really think that the Z Poison Jab that's good shit. I like offensive Quillfish, whether it's Z Poison Jab, whether it's Explosion, whatever. But I think it's really funny because he was actually trying to avoid the taunt and get up T spikes immediately. So yeah, props to that. I don't know. It's worth mentioning.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's funny. Wait, are the spikes not showing up? No, the Frostlass used spikes, and now they're just not showing up on the replay screen. Like there's no. Let me try resetting the replay. What the fuck? I know you can't see my screen, but it's like the Quillfish uses T spikes, and now they're just not down there. They're just not down there. All right, let me reload.
No, that just happened to me right now. Maybe.
Let me reload the
Showdown's
page.
having a fit.
I mean, it's not Showdown. It's the replay. Here, I reload the page. Maybe it's gonna work now because I think it worked the very first time I went through, but not after I reset the replay. Yep. Okay, there it is. I don't know. Weird shit. Let me play the super. Okay, so yeah, so the type null is basically just gonna do its like U-turn pivoty thing, and we're gonna kind of see where that's like not that amazing. Like it kind of works out, but he gets spiked on, and he has to like rest up, and it's like it's not. I just think it's kind of goes to show that how type null doesn't really work. But the first like actually critical turn is turn 15. I think you would agree with that.
Yeah.
Where you see God damn it! I just accidentally hit reset on the replay. You can explain it.
Yeah. So basically, I think the mud comes in and Swanna just doesn't kill it with the scald, and then manages to get the toxic off on the Swanna. What that does is basically just put it on a timer, and with the combustion existing, and it would be sub lefties because of the toxic spikes. It can now just sub and protect constantly without losing too much HP, basically forcing the Swanna sack on it. And Swanna was Kush's only real combustion, or way of beating combustion.
Well, it's not the only real way, but it was the only revealed way at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Kush's team structure, though, like, the Sylvali isn't necessarily what we call a reliable combustion check. Neither is the rest of the team. Like, his own definitive way of, like, okay, this is what he wants to do.
Yeah, obviously he'd rather it be the Swanna for sure. And I'm not sure... So let me calc this. Versus the 124 Spadef Mudsdale that people used to run, Scald only does 49 to 58. This did 59, so that could have been a max roll, or it could have just been like the more common now, like 0 Spadef or very little Spadef Mudsdale, in which case Scald would be doing 56 to 67. Like, that's still not really a big roll. Like, the Mudsdale was at 65, so even if he's 0 Spadef, you're probably not killing. I just don't think Kush could afford to stay in here. Like, he doesn't have very good Mudsdale switch-ins in general. I should have pointed that out.
Yeah.
That's something I didn't even think about. Like, Swanna is your only Mudsdale switch, and as soon as Swanna has to keep switching into rocks. Well, no, if you keep going hard into Mudsdale, but like, it's gonna get toxic. Rock Slide does a lot. That's far from ideal. Like, Mudsdale's a problem for him, but like, he needed to not let Swanna get toxic, and as soon as he did that, his anti-combustion counterplay came down to the Sylvali Dragon, which, to be fair, still could have worked at this point, but like, is a problem.
Yeah, I think Kush didn't play that with like too well. I think he couldn't have risked, like, unless he had some information based on how he played the earlier turns, like this Mudsdale set will die to this or should die to this Scald, and it would be unlucky if it didn't. Unless he had something like that, like decent information saying that it was like a roll in his favor. I think that play was like it was bad on Kush's part, but I also respect the fact that Ziri completely abused it. Like,
yeah, he absolutely did the right thing.
Foresight. Yeah, he like absolutely had the foresight not to click rocks, but to click like toxic. Make sure the Swanna was toxic, and the knowledge that combustion was the late game cleaner of choice. And then just Kush couldn't do anything about it. Yeah, which is, you know, you could say bad on Kush, but also good on Ziri. So
2 turns later. Both ways. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done. Yeah, I agree. 2 turns later, the Swanna also reveals it's toxic. So I guess it's either like just spin slash and not defog Swanna. But this is also really weird because for a team that really lacks breaking power, going with the toxic Swanna, which is really only something I consider is like, I need to hit Jellicent. Like, yeah, Jellicent's a threat, don't get me wrong, but this team that already lacks breaking power is running toxic Swanna. Just kind of caught me off guard.
Here's the thing, like, Electros doesn't give a shit if you toxic it, because it's always pivoting. It's always clicking volt switch. It's not really taking toxic.
Yeah, I doubt it's for toxic. I doubt it's for Eel. I think it's more for Jellicent, just because that messes this team up hard.
I'm not a particular fan of it. I don't.
No, I don't think it really works. It's just very weird. But yeah, he also reveals Pain Split on the Spike's Frostlass. That's an interesting tech. I don't know that it necessarily, like, I guess on this team he kind of wants the longevity. I get it, so that could be interesting. I haven't really thought too much about it. It's just like more kind of weird techs that don't necessarily do a ton for him or anything. It's just kind of odd. But yeah, we're pretty much just getting to the end of the game here. Eventually, this Combustion comes in, the Sylvali Dragon comes in, and like, in theory, this Silvally Dragon could outstall the Focus Blasts of Combuskin. The Focus Blast only is 8 PP, so yeah. But Ziri is going to get a Spadef drop on the very first one, hit 2 of them in a row. Kush is going to have to go over to sack Swanna, and like, okay, the Silvally Dragon comes back in. Instead of risking hitting a third one, Ziri's going to Flamethrower, which doesn't kill the Silvally. He gives it another chance to rest up, to like potentially be okay, and then proceeds to start trying to Focus Blast again. Crits the 4th Focus Blast. So he ends up hitting 4 Focus Blasts with 1 Spadef drop and 1 crit, and just breaks right through the counter. And that just ends the game. And I honestly can't say 100% that Kush would have won, even if that didn't happen. Certainly he could have outstalled Combuskin, but like, he's still got, like, Primeape and Mudsdale are going to be on timers. It's going to be a little bit of a problem to break this Sableye. Like, Sandslash is not... I don't think we ever saw what it was. I'm assuming it's Scarf. If it was SD, then that extra sucks, because that's just going to keep getting kills. Like, I don't know. Combuskin clearly should not have broken through like that. Ziri might have still had the game. I don't want to say 100% that Kush just got hacked out of the chance, but like, this was kind of stupid. But he ran a stupid Silvally Dragon, so I can't be too sad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Just yeah. There's not much more to say, I suppose. We also spent like 20 minutes on this. 'Cause, yikes. Yeah, you can start us off.
The rest of the games this week aren't really that good either, so it's like...
Yeah.
They're not too... nothing... You're not missing out on much. So Raiza vs Soulgazer, I guess. I think that was the next one.
It is, yes. You want to start us off?
Yeah. So, yeah, what do you think about the
You want to start us off? Yeah, what do you think?
I like the idea of Raiza's team. Eel plus Pom Pom. It's like a nice and distinctive core, so to speak. Where Eel almost abuses other eels by weakening them for Pom Pom. Whilst Pom Pom also gives you like a nice solid backbone. So I don't hate his team. I will say it's quite weak to like Auroras, like the Lola Slash. I think those are concerns, but I'm pretty sure it's Scuffed Rio, so it's like you can revenge kill them quite easily, so it's not a big deal. As far as SG's team's concerned, I think it's also quite cool. I think it's definitely on the more meta-checky side, but I like the fact that it's more offensive. I think potential problems stem from the Tangela, like depending on how he decides to play it and what have you. Especially if it's like Sleep Powder. I think Sleep Powder would definitely be a super good set on this. I would expect Sleep Powder if I was like watching this at matchup.
Mm-hmm. It's more of an offensive,
based on how the team is structured,
offensive setup, and like you're not really so focused on getting leech seeds or knockoffs as much as
yeah. Exactly. It's like you don't want to stay too long inside the game, like too long. You just want to sort of check the thing and then leave. So yeah, Sleep Powder, I would expect that 100%. I think generally it's quite structured well around like a Primeape plus like Kabutops plus like Silvally, all like banding together, and plus like Golurk is like an underrated breaker in this tier, I think. So that definitely helps.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think both teams are okay. Like I like the look of both.
I think Raiza's team, I think a little less of it. I kind of lean on it as being the opposite of Ziri's team. In that it's like kind of so standard it almost doesn't work. Like I get the idea of like the Eel Silvally dual pivots, and then the Eel plus Pom Pom core, and then Pom Pom plus Dodrio double bird. There's a lot to like about it, and I think the critical difference is that like the Ziri team, when faced with problems, has a lot less avenues to outplay it, whereas with something like this, just by simple fact of you have all these Pokemon that Raiza has, like the Floatzel and the Dodrio, that any like big threat you have the chance to outplay it shouldn't like immediately just 6-0 you or anything. But on the other hand, there's just a lot of stuff I see being really annoying for him, and he really needs to keep up all of the momentum as much as possible, because so many things can just click buttons, and I don't know how I feel about it. His team in practice, I don't think I feel as good about it in practice as I do on paper. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a very, the team makes me really nervous, and I think a lot of things just kind of mess it up in awkward ways. Whereas soulgazers, I'm actually hard pressed to say like that's. I mean, obviously, like if Victory Bell gets in on Tangle or whatever, it can really get a kill. But his team is also one where, like, in practice, it's weird to see exactly how much of a problem these things would be, because he's a really good player who knows how to keep up the offensive momentum, and he also has these like strong breakers. And this is the kind of these are still the kind of team styles I'm really biased towards, where no matter like the threats that you have, you also have your own strong threats and cores with like more ability to play around what they have. So yeah, I'm not quite as negative, just because I really feel like that's the best way. That's where the meta will trend most of the time. To no matter what you bring, I've got this counterplay. But overall, I definitely think Soulgazer looks like he would have struggled in the matchup if we didn't know what we know after. I mean, the Cryogonal is kind of the biggest offensive threat, but really most of what he has is kind of like checked by Raiza, and it's not until we see like the big surprise set that it all comes together in how his team works, and that's also a dimension of like where it goes.
Yeah, I will say also with SG's team, like a nice mind game that he has going on is the primeape almost like battle, like, which is like the Scarfer. You could assume that's
I would always assume it's not Scarf Kabu, because Scarf Kabu is just ugh. I guess you have to like think about that in the game, but I don't know. Yeah, it's not the biggest dynamic.
Yeah, I would say though that CB8 is a much bigger thing than what people give it credit for. I think CB8 is like a really good underrated set at the moment.
CB8's not bad, and it could definitely do some big work to rise this team. It's just I would never. Yeah. I really like would not assume CB8, and it definitely doesn't end up being that. So I've started the replay. I have to tell you that now because we're on the screen cap. It starts out kind of like your basic, we're going to start pivoting around, checking things out. Soulgazer reveals he has the Toxic Tangela, though, which, just like how you said, like I definitely thought Sleep Powder would just make more sense. Toxic's just being a little more of like a slow, passive, stall things out move that I don't know his team has a ton of time for. But yeah, it's Toxic Tangela. That was not what we expected. And there's just kind of a lot of feeling each other out, pivoting in the Z Golurk, things like that. Never Ending Nightmare is kind of cool, but then it does only 60% to a mudsdale. It's like, well, it's kind of sad.
Yeah, mudsdale is very bulky shit.
It's just too fat, and like Soulgazer's really playing almost kind of conservative, like the way he double toxics. It ends up double toxicing into the pom-pom, hits the Draco on the fairy volley switch in. Like, he's kind of going pretty safe here, which already had me a little confused, because you would think he kind of like is in the hole at the matchup and needs to be going a little more offensive and figuring things out. But like, he does manage to kill the pom-pom, so it's not like nothing happens. But I don't know, he's being kind of almost reserved in a weird way, I think.
That's personally when I get worried, is like when you think you're ahead in the game, but the other person also thinks they're ahead in the game. So it's like, who's actually ahead in the game? And then I start to like think of all the different scenarios of every single combination of Pokemon that it could possibly be. And that's what I kind of like about PU at the moment. Is that the meta is so explored. I feel like, in comparison to other tiers especially, like every Pokemon almost has like we know all the sets, we know all like what everything can do, we know how overrated, underrated, blah blah everything is, and everyone has their own different opinions on that. But like, just the fact that I can go into a team and I can say, okay, this team, this is like a potential way that this team can, potential way it can be composed, and it had so much depth in each team, like even like teams that you wouldn't expect. I feel like that's a really good point about the tier at the moment, which I enjoy like quite a lot. You're not really. It's not that you're not surprised by anything. It's that everything that you see, you can manage all of the different scenarios. And I feel like even though Raiza did fine, generally, especially in the early game, he did really well to like gain a lead in quotation marks. I just think he didn't expect Chopple, or we'll end up seeing the Chopple Kabu come in. And really ruin his day.
I've paused it on turn 20. Yeah, it is interesting that like soulgazer has definitely brought some considered like more jank or interesting things. Like in past weeks, he's had like Drift Bloom and whatever, and in this case, it's just a set from Black White RU, the tier that he played. The Chopple's a bit different because we see the Choppleberry Weak Armor Sword Stance Kabutop Sweeper that like just takes the game with that's like kind of the Weak Armor Sweeper Kabutops is what you haven't really seen since the Gen 5 days, and it really works. And I also agree with what you said. Like Raiza. He said after the game, if he had actually used Flyinium instead of going for Jump Kick, then he would have been able to chip the Kabutops with the defense drop into range of Banded Floatzel's Hawkwood. But because he instead went directly for Jump Kick, Kabu just cleans. And there's nothing he can do. It is also interesting that it wasn't Quick Attack Dodrio. I'm kind of interested in what it was. Like, I guess Sword Stance, Flyinium, Jump Kick, and then
Knock.
Did he show Knock?
I would guess maybe Frustration.
Knock or Frustration? Like I tend to prefer Quick Attack as the last slot on SD. I don't think Knock. I think Knock Dodrio kind of sucks in general. Like why? Like why do you want Knock?
Potentially to help. Long term to help with Pump Up versus like Regirox and stuff. Kabutops, whatever you want to switch into a Dodrio, essentially.
If you want to knock Pom Pom, you'd be better off frustrationing Pom Pom, really.
No, as in like knock off like Regirox so that Pom Pom looks scary.
Oh, yeah, okay. Like, yeah, there's some merit to it. I don't know. If it was Sword Stance, I just think Quick Attack tends to be the better option because so many teams are like, oh, I kind of have to just go out to my Scarfer and then, just Quick Attack the Primeape. I don't know. Yeah. Regardless,
it's interesting as well how close this game ended up looking. Like, me and you will look at this game and say, oh, this is quite close. Like, potentially it came down to the tech on Dodrio. Like, you could, like, justifiably give Raiza a shot at the end of the game if he had, like, Quick Attack on Dodrio, which is interesting.
I don't know. Like, okay, let's say the Dodrio does go for the Flyinium, and then Kabutops kills it, and then Floatzel kills... Well, no, I guess Raiza would just sack something else, because, like, if the end game is where Floatzel kills Kabutops right here on turn 22... Oh, shit. I still would favor Soulgazer in the end game. Not by a lot, but I think with the Scarf 8, like, the Mudsdale's at 39, the Silvali's at 33... Actually, what am I saying? Not by a lot. I think Soulgazer is just going to clean this up. He's got the Tangle in the back as well as kind of annoying.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Like, is Raiza not just losing to Scarf 8? What does he have other than like getting defense drops and then going to Floatzel to Aqua Jet? Or
he still has the Aqua Jet on the Floatzel, I assume.
Yeah, it's not going to Oko Primeape though. So all he has to like wait for Primeape to get to -2 defense and then threaten it out. And Soulgazer just sacks his Drag Volley and then he goes back to Primeape. Like,
yeah,
would he still, not?
Like, it would have been a better spot than. Yeah, we're talking about like semantics and stuff, but I mean, he would have been a better spot.
I mean, I don't even think it's semantics. I don't see any way for Raiza to win without like critting an Aqua Jet maybe or something.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think.
Oh, the Mudsdale, like to get the Mudsdale chipped by rocks enough into Figgy, that'd be like 3 switch-ins. So by then you've just sacked too much. But yeah, I don't I don't really see how Raiza was actually going to win, which isn't a dimension of this game I even thought about when we were looking at it that way. But Raiza kind of loses to late game Scarf Primeape, given that like the Dodrio is not Scarf and Silvally just gets chipped really early and Pom Pom dies early. But even then, Pom Pom's not a great like late game Scarf. Yeah. I think soulgazer was just winning anyway.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I liked how SG played the game. Even though it looked more in Raiza's favor after the early game. I appreciate how soulgazer played the early game. Like, it stopped one of those early games where he said, oh, he got outplayed. It's like, he made calculated decisions, even though it didn't look that way, so to speak. Like, toxicking the fairy by making sure the Pom-Pom was toxic by the Tangela. Basically, he statused the entire team, or Raiza's main, like, fighting checks, so that late game 8 could go off. So,
yeah.
I appreciate the plays that he made in the early game, even though they were like tough plays, like tough quotation marks.
Yeah, like it didn't even need to be Kabu, I don't think, which is just kind of crazy when you think about it, given that that's like the crazy win con we saw.
Yeah, that's interesting. He probably wasn't even playing for Kabu. He was probably playing so that Kabu could weaken everything, so that Ape could win.
So that Ape was going to win, because he just needs to mess with like the Dodrio and stuff enough. Did the Dodrio?
Which is
I guess, okay, so the Dodrio killed the Cryogonal with Brave Bird, and then he went Kabu. So I guess when he Sword Stance, he was thinking either the Dodrio's Scarf and he's switching out, and I'll just be able to start threatening things, or... Yeah, okay, because then he would think Raiza might have to go back to Scarf Dodrio and would jump kick. And it ended up not being Scarf, but if I were soulgazer, I guess he was probably even keeping Scarf in the back of his head, and he was like, okay... I get my Kabu out, I lure the Scarf Dodrio as he tries to jump kick, and I just chopple it, and that's how I win. So that's probably where my guess is that he didn't even expect it to sweep. Maybe he did, though. Maybe he just, knew, but, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate those early game plays, so, yeah, 100%, that's very good foresight from SG to make those plays, early on in the game. Also, I just wanted to say that as well, that, this game could have been so much more different as well if it was the worst Dodrio set and it was Fightinium or something. Can you imagine if it was Fightinium and then just kills it with Quick Attack afterwards?
If it was Fightinium plus Quick Attack, that would have just been... Well, Scarf Prime still might have won, but would have been a lot harder. We could probably move on, though, and good lord, it's already been 37 minutes, 2 games in, but that's okay, because the rest of the games definitely start going downhill, like you said. Shrug versus HT, this is... HT's team is it's another team where it's it really needs its offensive stuff to work, because if not, then you're kind of screwed, because it's just so weird. It doesn't really check, or it doesn't really counter or wall pretty much anything in the tier, but it goes, okay, I'm gonna try to win so fast that it doesn't matter. But on that winning so fast, it has a Frostlass and a Lantern, Specs Lantern, but still, and a Scarfape and the Alola Slash. It's such a weird version of that. It's such a weird hyper offense. And then Shrug's team is just what if I ran all of the slow but kind of strong things that get overly passive, so I don't really have a way to kill HD fast enough and I lose? Except Masharna probably could have won at some point in the game, because depending on the set at least. It was just... This was so weird. These teams don't make sense, and it's hard, because Telenet, I can go in depth with the critique on that, because I understand why I don't like it. I think the Zeri team is better than both of these. It's just harder to explain why these don't make sense.
I guess I can give you some background on Shrug's team, because I built it.
Mm-hmm.
This team was actually, I hope we aren't monetized on YouTube yet, because this team was actually, I built it at 3 o'clock in the morning, so it's cool. What was it called again?
It looks like Trick Room, but it looks like Trick Room, but it's not.
Dolls.
If Silvally was anything else, I would say it's Trick Room with a Scarfape, and then it's Band Rocks Mudsdale or something, and just, If Silvally was just anything if Silvally was a Pokemon that got Trick Room, that's it. This is a Trick Room team. But why? What? I don't...
So basically,
Like, I get the concept. You're going to kill things with the slow things and then just kind of try to win with Scarfate, but it's also got, like, a weirdly lackluster pivoting, given that Silvally is just a Pokemon that dies so fast. And I don't get it. Chad,
Yeah.
Sorry. You just explain. You go ahead.
Yeah, so the idea behind Team was to basically build something where you had breakers, but the breakers built into the defensive synergy of the team. So you force sacks as if it was a Crabominable or a Drampa in like standard play, but you also gain defensive utility from actually using those mons. So like the defensive core was Crab, Muds, AV Drampa, Mashana. That was like the main defensive core. With Crab essentially acting as TB Crab, I should say, acting as the main ice resist. Muds obviously being Muds and being the meta check for the physical side. AV Drampa being the meta check for the special side, whilst also performing as that breaker, and then Mashana as your like main girder check or whatever you want to call it. Basically, yeah, it was just applying pressure on every aspect of the team.
Okay, yes,
yeah.
But also, like, I don't know, what if they just click the Stoutland button? It's like, oh, I don't know what to do because my team's so slow and Silvally's stupid. I don't think it works. I'm sorry, man. I just don't think it works.
Yeah, I mean, I think this team would work if there was a Stoutland, for example. Like, it would be tough to play around, but you could reasonably play around it. I don't think it was.
I think it's like possible. It's just like that's gonna be really hard. There are so many breakers that I think of that, like, because it's so meta checky, that of course you have options to play around, like a Lurantis or whatever, but it's really gonna be just so difficult to make that work that it doesn't really matter that your team is just like gonna be able to get kills by hitting buttons. That's kind of where I see it. You know?
Yeah, it's more focused around the late game, so to speak, making sure you get your correct breaking opportunities. Like it looks like a fat balance team, but in reality it plays like offense, where it's like you get your opportunities to break with Crab and Drampa.
Yeah.
And then you clean with Ape and Mashana in the late game. Like,
yeah, it just feels like you have less opportunity to play around with things. I guess that's kind of what I've been emphasizing for this whole Untier talk, with like the ability to actually play around your checks seems so limited because the Silvally and Primeape are the pivot mons. They're not going to last that long, and then like when something scary gets in, you don't have a great way to like steal back the momentum aside from again like a Silvally, which just ends up not working if the game lasts more than 5 turns, which I get that you don't want it to with your breakers, but I think teams can make it possible. But I don't know. I don't need to rag on it this much. It also didn't help that Shrug is just inexperienced to PU. He subbed in because False was really sick apparently, and
I will say, that being said, like, I feel like the team had a more than decent enough matchup to win this game. Like, I feel like if Shrug was like played PU like frequently, I feel like he would have won this game. But it was just unfortunate that we were put in this scenario where
he could have
played PU, but
he could have made it happen. So you start off and HT is just like spamming all his hazards, you know, doing the thing. He's gonna pivot. He's gonna have the spikes, and you know, like it's pretty basic stuff from the offense. And Shrug doesn't really get very much at all. Like he tries to make a couple doubles, and then he ends up parting shotting right into the Primeape, which is pretty scary. And HT just keeps up all this pressure, and oh look, Specs Lantern gets a kill. That's kind of cool. And just nothing goes Shrug's way. Like absolutely nothing. Apparently, I'm looking at turn 8. I think, didn't someone say it was Energy Ball Drampa?
Yeah, it was Energy. Well, it's Assault Vest, so it has to be Energy.
Yeah, okay, it's Energy Ball Drampa, but he still clicks Draco to kill the Lycanroc. That was weird.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Anyway, like, HT has 2 hazards, and he's just traded, like, killing the Crabominable for losing his lead Lycanroc. Like, this is This is just. He's just hitting buttons and everything is working out completely perfectly. Silvally Ghost is a silly. It's a silly Pokemon. Like nothing. There's really no way to commentate this. I'm gonna set it even faster. In fairness, maybe this Musharna, like, if it was something different, maybe he could have done something later game. What?
No, the Musharna won. I will put that out there. The Musharna won the game, but Shrug didn't win because he didn't think it won.
What was the set?
It was Calm Mind. Just standard Calm Mind.
Physically defensive?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what the Frostlass was. Like, maybe Frostlass could have played around it and, like, had some taunt debond issues or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he never even tries to Calm Mind with Musharna, and obviously, like, he needed to. It just takes a Surf from Ludicolo and dies, and yeah, there's a chance that there was a chance that Shrug might have been able to do something just because HT's team is so weird.
I don't think there was a chance. I feel like Shrug would have won or should have won, but he just didn't have the foresight because he doesn't play the tier enough to like.
Well, it's kind of hard to say, like. So he gets it in. He has it against the Specs Lantern. Like, when was the Musharna actually getting in to do anything?
Well, when he was versus the... when he pivoted into Alola Slash and then Shrug doubled out into Ape and killed it. Basically, we could tell that the Alola Slash wasn't... the Alola Slash had to be Scarf because the Primeape already revealed from the dogshit Silvally Ghost that it wasn't Scarf Primeape, so it had to be Scarf Alola Slash. So we got that information, and then if Musharna just clicked Calm Mind at that point with 5 months left.
I thought he didn't Calm Mind because Specs Lantern was about to 2-hit KO it. Like, right?
Wait, you might be in the wrong turn that I'm on then.
Turn 13.
With the turn when he's like...
Oh no, turn 13 he was locked into Ice Beam. Yeah, if he Calm Minded there was like 5 Mons left on the field, so maybe HT could have done some pivot stuff and forced out with Frostlass. And the problem is, as long as HT can force it out once, Shrug's not getting another setup opportunity. So as long as this Frostlass can do anything, then Shrug's not winning. But it does depend on the Frostlass set, so that is something.
No, because here's the thing, right? If he brings in Frostlass, and let's say it's Debond, like, if it is Debond, Ape wins. Scarf Ape wins. If it's not Debond, Musharna wins. So I feel like just got into
You're right. I thought he had the speed tie with 8 possibility. Yeah, I mean, Shrug actually could have done things, which is mostly just because, again, HT's team. Like, I don't think it really works. I don't
rate HT's team quite that much. I think it's okay.
Like, but remember, we're only saying. Okay, I'm gonna not make that meme because people don't like it. Yeah,
it just falls flat versus like some common threats. Like, I think it struggles versus Victory Bell, and I think it struggles versus Gerda, especially. Gerda is the big one that I would be like, this is definitely an issue. 100%. Like, I've
absolutely. Like late game,
threat,
late game, you're basically relying on like your Specs water types being able to handle it when it's got possibly Speed F, and then, like the bulk and knock.
As well. Like,
and the Frostlass lasting long enough to check Shrug's Scarf Ape was also a huge boon. This team is really Scarf Ape weak. You need a Frostlass alive. Late game, that's a problem. Yeah, okay. This was just kind of stupid, and Shrug ended up losing and didn't necessarily know how to play. And he's an LC player getting subbed in, so unfortunate. But yeah, HT picks up the win. I think this is the first win for the team, right? I think Shake lost, and then Tom lost both. I think this is their team's first win, and HT's not even in this week again, because the person he got subbed out of UU for got bodied or something. So yeah, they got something at least. Katut versus Teddy. Oh God, do we have to keep just being so critical and negative? Yes, we do, because that's what we do here. I hate Katut's team a lot less than most of his things. I actually don't really have massive issues with this. Yeah, it's weak to a lot of things, but the core concept of ice spam is you're gonna be really threatened by shit like Simisear, but then like also Ice Spam and plus the Victory Bell is just gonna be a huge offensive threat that you can like pull it back based on that. And like I get the concept, and that's the kind of it's the kind of matchup fishy stuff that Katut does really well at. Where like if someone's not really weak to Ice Spam, it's kind of gonna be a problem if they've got like more solid ice checks, but oftentimes people don't. I know I don't because it's kind of tricky. So yeah, far from the worst thing from Katut. And then Teddy used webs. I think it's stupid. Webs are awful. I make no apology. Like I guess Teddy has a different opinion on that, and he thinks that webs are usable in some way. And I also get that like Katut likes bringing a lot of jank offenses that are probably weak to webs. So again, I understand why he wanted to use it, but I think webs are terrible, and that can't save the fact that he's Pinsir and Simisage, which I'm pretty happy about, especially the Pinsir. The Pinsir's cool, but like, yeah, I get why webs would look nice versus Katut, but you're already the better player. Webs are risky and sucky. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about the picks. You probably have like way different opinions.
Yeah, so on Katut's team, I don't think generally it's that bad. I think it's okay. But the big concern for me would be the fire resist. I mean,
yeah.
Sure, Ted doesn't bring too many fire types, but I mean, you're bringing three ice types, a Victory Bell, and a Saberlight. Like it's not. Like
don't get me wrong. He has no excuse for not making one of his 3 non-ice types something that can at least switch into Simisear once. There's just no reason not to do that. That's
yeah. Put it this way though, like if Ted had brought a Simisear instead of a Simisage, he straight up won. Like it was done.
Yeah.
Turn 1. But
yeah.
I mean, it just didn't happen that way. So, but yeah, apart from that, I feel like Teddy's team is super cool. I think it works generally speaking. Like,
it's like Planet's team. I think it works if webs work, but webs don't work. Webs are bad.
It's not a webs team. It's like offense that has webs. Like it's. I think that's the key distinction that I'm making is that it's offense with webs, and you're thinking it's webs offense.
Well, I mean, I've tried semi-webs, and I couldn't get it to work, but Teddy's way better at building and playing, so maybe he sees more to that. But I never find, like, when you're trying to make it work with and without webs, I never find that really all that great. I don't. Yeah, I just do not have faith, and I totally get that that's coming from me, a straight up inferior player to Teddy, saying that I really don't think his thing works at all. I'm willing to give Teddy a lot more benefit of the doubt than I am with like anyone else's team here because it's Teddy and he's that good. But man, I cannot really bring myself to like have the confidence in the webs. Yeah,
I think
it's just not good.
It's weird. I think Ted's team is like, I told Ted before he played Katut, he said, I'm going to bring this versus Katut. And I'm like, okay, so one of two things is going to happen, okay? You're either going to get, it's one of 3 things actually. You're either going to get hacked, which let's be honest, you're going to get hacked, which is going to happen.
Yep.
2, you're going to get smoked into the next century and you're going to look like an idiot. Or 3, you're going to set the blueprint for how everybody is going to beat Katut for the next century, and Katut will be awful for like the next, however many games of Snake, right? So it could have gone either of those 3 ways. End up going scenario 1, which is
Ted gets hacked
at this point.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is where people are like, oh Megazord, you just hate Katut, but like, he's lucky. I don't, but you can't really have it both ways. You can't go, oh, Katut's a god, and then watch the game, see him hacks people, and be like, "Yep, that was all him being great."
Yeah, like
because
this game was bullshit, but this game, despite how bullshit it was still less bullshit than the game he stole from Tasker. So, like that game still pisses me off.
Oh, we don't give Katut credit where credit is due. I mean, let's start this game. Okay. Teddy leads the pincer, not even the shuckle, not even going for the webs. So that's already, I guess, he doesn't fully need the webs by any means. Life Orb knockoff also, it's just cool. I like pincer. I think pincer's cool. He also shows the all-out pummeling Simisage, which I don't know if you have thoughts about like the way he drops it turn 3. This is the one like really weird turn from Teddy for me because I don't know. I just really can't imagine Katat pivoting in Cryogonal there. Like I would really think it'd be the Victory Bell because comparatively in this matchup, do I want to have the Victory Bell or the Cryogonal? Cryogonal, no question. So, like, how do
Yeah,
you?
I think I think personally speaking, I think he was just trying to catch anything, like whether it was Victory Bell,
Well, it's gonna do nothing to Victory.
you
Like, if
know,
you think it's Victory
Cryo,
Bell,
anything.
if
Like
you think Victory Bell's coming in, you don't all out pummeling. I don't think that's a play that you make unless you think Cryogonal or Alolan Sandslash is coming in. But I don't think Katat risks them. Like, Katat makes some plays I don't agree with, but just as a general thing, like I don't think the reasonable thing would be expecting him to risk either of those bonds. So that definitely caught me off guard. I don't know.
yeah, I think Teddy might have been almost foreshadowing a bit of a Caracosta win at that point. Like he was thinking if he switches in Victory Bell, that kind of opens him up to Caracosta in the late game, which it would have. Um, but Caracosta almost got pressured out, I think, towards the end.
Well,
So it
the
couldn't
whole
really
end
do
game,
much.
the whole end game without Caracosco is just stupid. So not a lot to
Yeah,
go
I
with
mean,
there. Um,
yeah,
so we get the shuffle double. It's now the Victory Bell comes in. It's like that's more along the lines of what I expected, and Ted can get his hazards, but Katat shows off the substitute Aurora. So this is interesting. Um, Not typically what you see on Hail, like a more substitute setup thing, just because you're wasting time
you
subbing.
want it to be
That
alive.
means the slash isn't coming in to sweep. It's less about Hail, it's less about Sandslash winning, and more about I'll run the Auroras, and then I'll also happen to have a Sandslash, which is definitely a concept I also like working with, and absolutely works out well for Katat here, because Teddy's just going to have to sack a couple things to just deal with this, because Shuckle don't break subs. Um,
Yeah, Shuckle doesn't do that. But yeah, I think it's weird to have like sub on a team or sub on a Pokemon that you want alive for as long as possible to keep like for a load of slash to be as scary as possible.
yeah.
Because when, but I feel like Kitap might have just reasonably said it's not that big of a deal because Teddy's probably going to bring fat anyway. So even if a load of slash doesn't have hail up, it's like not a big deal because it'll probably outspeed most of Ted's team anyway. So
And if
that's
Teddy
kind of
brought
like the kind
fat,
of thing.
if Teddy brought fat, and this was metronome, which I don't know if we know it was metronome at all, but like if it was, that'd be some shit right there.
Yeah.
Like metronome is just kind of what I assume, what I would think if it's a sub Auroras type deal to specifically break Teddy's fat. So I would get where that's coming from. It's just definitely like a really interesting thing. So yeah, Teddy has to sack 2 things, that's big. But Pinsir doing work. I get knocked off Mudsdale earlier, so even if it was Berry as opposed to leftovers, that wouldn't have worked. I'm pretty sure he knocked leftovers, not Berry. Yeah, he knocked off lefties. Anyway, Pinsir does work. That's cool. Cryo. Katut immediately tries to spin. I just think this is a silly play. Like, there's no way he's not Silvally Ghost, right? I can't be the only one who's like, come on, you know what it is, right? Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm like, there's a 0% chance that Teddy's not Silvally Ghost on this team. I don't like immediately spinning, but I guess it's like a safe quote unquote play. So this whole next segment is very interesting. I think Teddy is the right idea to play for the late game Costa with he Swords Dances multiple times on the Sableye, going to try to break it with the Silvally Ghost. The third Sword Dance though, like he kind of needed to break Sableye, but he's definitely playing a risky game there, and Katut crits a knockoff and immediately just like tanks how many hits the Silvally can get off. That sucks. Although I think either way he sacks the Auroras here. The Sandslash would have been able to come out in revenge, but that would have given Teddy the chance to smash with Costa. I don't know if that immediately And did Kita? Oh no, if Cragnos faster. You can ignore what I said. I don't know. It was kind of weird. Like maybe that crit hurt, but probably not. Um, sorry, I think I kind of screwed up that bit of analysis there. Just ignore me.
Yeah.
I'm not good at my job. Don't think I'm good at my job, please.
I think with that end game, it's like Ted was setting himself up so that if Kata ever brought in the Lola Slash, it was like checkmate. So, if Karakosta come in on the Lola Slash, like he smashed him one with Aqua Jet and Sturminate, all the moves that Karakosta runs. So, yeah, I think that's what Teddy was playing for. But then the way Kata managed to end up getting the win was essentially the only way he could, which was like,
yeah, it's a lot more unorthodox. Like I'm at turn 17. I'll get there pretty quickly. Yeah. Teddy shows off the Rotom being trick and defog, so like definitely hammering home the semi-webs kind of thing. Katat is like clearly afraid of the Caracosta, and he tries even doubling in the Victory Bell on the Rotom. So he's definitely playing a bit of that risky game there. Kraken also showing off to be Flash Cannon, which I don't entirely understand on this team. It's not Recover, it's Flash Cannon. Like,
I don't have a clue. I personally think HP Fire is superior.
Yeah, it doesn't. Flash Cannon hits Auroras, right? Like that's the only thing you really run it for, and that's not necessarily
Maybe
the biggest.
Spam? I don't know. I don't know.
I didn't.
So I just ignored it.
I didn't understand it at all. But Teddy basically just gets his Rotom like huge chipped to kill the Cryogonal. Katat goes hard to Lola Slash and then doubles out. It's like, wait, I can't leave that in because if he volts and I hit a button and kill Pinsir, then Cost is smashing. So like he's clearly aware of the end game there. He can't let the Costa in. Sableye eject buttons out too, which could have been the potential end game savior versus Caracosta, but like he didn't really have a choice there. Just like kind of slowly moving through the end game. Sandslash Sword stances because he knows he can't kill the Pinsir or Caracosta is going to smash. Sableye is now able to come back in on the Pinsir. Eject button hurting Katat's chances, kind of funny. So yeah, just a bit of the slow play there. I was surprised Teddy didn't set rocks. I think he could have and just left the Sableye less healthy, but he didn't need to. Because really the critical point is turn 29. If Teddy hits Blizzards, he wins. And he doesn't do that.
Yeah. So it's like...
he misses one Blizzard.
Oh, well.
So yeah, one Blizzard miss. He's going to start trying to do some Volt plays and whatever, and... It doesn't work out for him. Hits the second Blizzard. You see it do 79. So like I believe that means the very first Blizzard he missed. Nope, Sableye was at... Wait, no. The very first Blizzard he missed. Sableye was at 85. So no, it wouldn't have killed. But yeah, we see Blizzard do 79. It's like, okay, if he hits the next Blizzard on turn 34, he's going to win. Guess what Teddy doesn't do? And he keeps trying, like he really gives it the best effort he can. But at this point, the Rotom only has 2 Blizzards left. He can't Oko Sableye with it. And if he uses both Blizzards, then Victreebel is just going to win the game because now Rotom can't kill it. And like, there's nothing he could do about that. He missed 2 Blizzards, and that's not the biggest form of hacks. Like, he hit 1 out of 3 Blizzards. Like, there's definitely worse things, but he just played it to a better endgame than Katut, and it still sucks to see that, because Katut had what probably should have been a winning matchup if he had been able to use Hail, like, at all better, given that Teddy had nothing to outspeed the Sandslash without webs under hail, and Sandslash could have gotten a sword stance on multiple of Teddy's Pokemon. Also, like, even if it doesn't sweep, force in, chip the Caracasa so Teddy doesn't have the late game win con. Also, if Kata had just had recover Cryogonal, I don't really understand why it wasn't. That could have been, like, there's so many things where it feels like Kata screwed up. So the Blizzard missing is just really unfortunate. But it's also not the biggest steal. Like, it's not the Tasker, miss 6 Hurricanes or whatever. It's not as big of a thing. But it really does suck. It's really unfortunate and sad to see Teddy 2-2. Teddy is 2-2 in this tournament, getting lucked for both of his losses. That's not funny. That's not fun. That's not what anyone wants to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game clearly wasn't on the Tasker level because that was absurd. Like the missing Hurricanes plus the crit poison jabs, all that stuff.
It's not like it's major. It's not nearly as major, but it's still just a bit of highway robbery.
Yeah, it's just your casual highway robbery. I think that's a good ending note.
Yeah, friendly neighborhood. Oh wait, one last weird set reveal because that's Energy Ball Victory Bell. Not the worst thing. It's just basically I don't want Leaf Storm drops, but on this team, really? I don't know. Just the food for thought. Last game is Tasker versus Sam I Am. This was also just kind of marred by some bad luck. I think they both have like very prototypical offense teams for them with kind of the same potential weaknesses that most of their offense teams tend to have, but neither of them really like counter-teamed each other, and they both have plenty of room to like outplay their problems, so it's not like the worst thing. Just kind of really standard, basic stuff that I would expect from both players, if you feel what I mean. Yeah.
Yep.
We can...
just getting into the game, I feel like, just quickly to analyze both teams, I feel like Sam's team is cool, but it doesn't have the same, like, it doesn't have much going forward offensively. In terms of, like,
the big breaker is a Floatzel. Like, it's weird. It's very Sam.
That's questionable, yeah.
And he has abilities to make it stronger, but it's weird and awkward and not amazing.
Yeah, I will say Tasker's team looks to me to be the better, more polished team, almost, because it has, like, I feel like the core between Raichu Alola and Smash Costa, that's a pretty cool core to have. And obviously, like, in Primeape is something that's obviously quite scary, so... yeah, I think I like Tasker's team quite a bit. Sam's team not so much, but I still think it's okay. Like, it's passable.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. Tasker's kind of looks a little better. Early game ends up being kind of weird. A lot of, like, awkward doubles in ways that don't make a ton of sense until Tasker reveals his knockoff Victory Bell, and that still doesn't really do a lot, and it just ends up being a lot more pivoting. Like, everyone was pretty confused about this, and eventually something happens. Eventually he hits a big Hydro Pump on the Mudsdale, and like, hey, that's a big deal for late game checking Primeape and Raichu and all that. So, like, it's not really until turn 12 though that you actually get something noteworthy, I guess. So, a really funky setup. No thoughts. Okay, I'll keep going. Tasker just, like, his early game is generally stronger. He chips the things he needs to. They've both got hazards. They both lose their Mudsdales very early, but that definitely looks better for Tasker than it is for Sam. And then turn 18, Sam misses Icicle Crash and basically has no chance to win.
Yeah, I mean, that's the end of the game.
Yeah, that's just
Tasker
it.
Tasker was playing more like a hit for hit towards the end game, so like Alola Slash would get that hit off, and then Tasker would go into Caracosta, get his hits off, die, and then go back in. But, it could have devolved into a really fun end game, but I mean, the game literally just ended there. Like,
absolutely. Did Tasker look better in the end game? Yes, I definitely would have favored him. Smash Costa is immediately going to do some good damage. And a late game Alola and Raichu is going to be beating everything but the one Scarf Slash. Okay, the Eel's still healthy for now, but like the late game Alola and Raichu plus Cryogonal are only checked by that, and then Sam has to be preserving the Sensu because the Primeape. I think Sam just has a lot more pressure on him to where it's not impossible, but Tasker looks better because he has the stronger threats that Sam has to be reactive to. But it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter because as soon as Icicle Crash misses, that's just the game, and nothing else is really relevant. Which it just sucks. Just really sucks.
Yeah, sucks to see. Good thing to end, I think. On.
Yeah, Tasker did have the mixed Victory Bell, though. That was pretty cool, with Knock, HP Fire, Power Whip, Z Power Whip, and presumably Strength Sap as the last. I thought this set was actually pretty interesting, so something to note. But yeah, like none of the rest of this game is really in any way doing anything for anyone, because sometimes shit happens that sucks. We can just run up pretty quick to the... Oh, right, I forgot. I'm recording a specific part of the screen, so I can't get the snake matchups on it. Oh, fuck. Okay, well, this is no use for anyone. Let me pull it up on my phone. Goddamn screen capture. Why do you guys want this? Just because it's helpful and useful. Okay. Almost got it. I'm phoning extremely fast. Okay. Katut versus Teddy. I mean, I'm looking at last week's matchups. Fuck. Oh my god. Right. Shackledeath still hasn't updated this? What, just because he's busy with the job and kids? God damn it. Nothing's going right. Okay, hang on. Smogon metagames. Nope. Wrong thread. Okay. Tournaments. Smogon Snake Draft, Week 5. Okay. False versus Tasker. Who you got?
I've got my boy False, obviously. My boy.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I forgot you're False's manager. Realistically, I think Tasker looks like he's got a bit of an edge. He's coming off a couple of wins. His losses have been the shitty getting hacked by Katut and the pretty close one to Soulgazer. His wins haven't been like amazing. Like there was the Icicle Crash dodge and over Tom Holland as well. But he's just kind of got more momentum. False has only played like 2 weeks. I think he's 0-2 right now, right?
3. No, 1-2. 3 weeks.
No, he's 1-2. Your team has just been having some issues with teams and stuff, and I think absolutely if you guys get together, False can absolutely match Tasker. He's a good player and all that, but Tasker is just kind of looking a little stronger overall right now. So that's the unbiased take from the not False's manager. Teddy versus Soulgazer. I really kind of want to call this a 50-50. I know Teddy's 2-2, Soulgazer 4-0, but like Teddy should be 4-0. And Teddy's Teddy. I have a really hard time predicting for Soulgazer.
Yeah, just because you get hacked twice doesn't mean you're a bad player. I think Teddy has like more than enough like knowledge in the tier to match Soulgazer. So yeah, 50-50 is a fair call. Yeah,
but like Soulgazer has been looking really good, and putting anyone as 50-50 with Teddy has been like the undisputed best in PU. That's a big deal. But like when you look at it, not from just purely record, but like what's behind the losses, Teddy looks a lot stronger. Ziri versus Tom Holland. Tom's team is not doing very good, and Ziri's picked up wins the last 2 weeks and has looked much better. I mean,
Ziri and Telenet have like Tom is still in the process of working things out, so I favor Ziri.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's hard to really favor Tom at any point here. He's just like he's really got to figure something out because the PU for whatever this team is not doing so good. Sam Am versus Raiza, definitely got to favor Raiza. I mean, he's been really strong this snake. Really impressive. Sam obviously like it sucks that ISO Crash just took him out of this game, but even like with where he's been, Raiza's just looking like a really dominant force. whereas Sam's
Yeah,
looking
fantastic.
okay. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, fine.
And then Roses versus Katut. I'd be the first to say let's look behind the record, and Katut's wins are kind of shit, but Roses is not like someone who has very much like Roses is the kind of tour player who does play a lot of random tiers, and I've still like never seen him in PU. The teams for his team have been better, but we both thought Kushalos's was a little weird. He's coming in for Kushalos, and like this week's Kushalos is kind of odd. Katut had like a bit more of a return to form, so if he's able to keep it up, yeah, I definitely favor Katut. Roses is just like objectively the better player. I don't think that's biased to say, hey, this guy with 2 trophies or whatever is the better player overall, like the more accomplished player. But I think if there's anyone that Katut's gonna like pull out his crazy do the Katut stuff versus like he did versus False with the screens, this is definitely the week that it would happen in.
Yeah. I think Rose
is
fine.
Rose has 1 trophy. Sorry, just 1.
Yeah. I mean, Roses is fine as a player. I don't think he's particularly special, but I don't think his small incremental talent, so to speak, is good enough to beat Keita.
No,
because Keita has a vast knowledge.
Yeah, I favor Keita.
Yep.
Those are words I said. I'm just kidding. I would predict in favor of Keita versus like a fair amount, like whoever's playing PU for the Tom Shake HT Snake team, you know, probably over Ziri if Katut like improves or like doesn't have another fall off. So yeah. One last thing to do, because holy shit, this has been long. But Hajad's gimmick corner, everybody's favorite. We can't skip it. We just can't. Nobody would allow us to. You got anything for us this week?
It's true. Yeah, so I'll keep it short this week. I think cool mod. This meta should be specs camera up.
Hit buttons on eel. I mean, I don't think
buttons with eruption. I think something that I discovered recently that you could use on it is like overheat. I think somebody used that versus me, and I was like, that does a lot of damage, and it was right. It did do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't love camel. I think it's overrated, but like, it's also usable and not bad and has a niche. So there's absolutely that. I will slightly extend Untier talk or Hajad's gimmick corner to say that last week you talked up, what was it? Oh yeah, offensive Regirock with Z Stone Edge. Actually been using that. Actually built a team. That set is fun. I like it.
It works, doesn't it?
Yeah, you kind of. It has a 12.5% chance to Oko Electros with Max Ada Z Stone Edge. That's fun. Like it's just fun. It is.
Yeah.
I am enjoying this poke. It is not too bad. Also, if you pair it with a spiker and then lure Natu, it can make you beat Natu stall. I learned that. Like Natu's supposed to wall Regirock and they just drop the Z Stone Edge on it. That's the sound effect a Z Stone Edge makes, by the way, in case you didn't know. Anywho, I think that should about wrap it up. Thanks for taking, all this really long commentary and also like sitting through the serious Megazard stuff at the beginning of the podcast. Again, I really hope people take this podcast as like something where we really love PU, we love the community, and we like talking about things, and I hope people are able to appreciate that and not take things that are said out of love and not in a derogatory way. Yeah. It can be tiring, but I hope you get what I mean.
Yeah, if you've made it this far in the podcast, make sure to give me your suggestions of Pokemon to slap an Assault Vest onto this next week. Thank you.
Yes, leave comments. We will answer them. Or probably, I guess. I don't know. Just do it.